The future belongs to service providers who innovate without limits. That's why the fastest growing service providers are choosing the NetSapiens platform. Visit netsapiens.com.
Hey everybody, it's Doug Green and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News, and I'm very pleased to have with me today Steve Brock, who's the Senior Vice President of Sales at Airsys Cooling Technologies. Stephen, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely, Doug. How are you doing today?
Very good. Well, so first of all, I'm gonna say the same thing I just said to your team just before we started. Thanks for giving me not an agentic AI podcast, but we're going to be talking about some of the things that that really definitely connect AI, and that is we are now consuming a massive amount of energy. We're also needing to cool things off. I think that's the business you're in. We're going to be talking about energy efficiency. Energy efficiency and saving energy is definitely on the radar for everybody. But Steve, first of all, what is Airsys?
Airsys is a 30-year-old company focused primarily on mission-critical cooling. So we operate on the modular data side, telecom, large-scale data centers, and we do that here in the U.S. Operations, our European operations, and then in China as well.
So, and you guys have been doing this specifically with the telecom industry for a long time.
Absolutely. Various telecom operators throughout the United States, South America, Canada, Europe, we've provided support on the cooling side of the equation for their ILA huts all over the planet, really, in that situation.
Now, I suppose telecom operators have always been concerned about energy efficiency, but is that becoming a really big concern now?
Actually, it's becoming more and more of a concern. Years ago, it was not. A typical, box that gets put onto a shelter or hut that
Right.
spits out cold air was always the industry norm, cheap, if you will. But then as companies had to get more creative with finding ways to save money, they've been very, very concerned with exactly how much energy the cooling systems in shelters consume. And so Airsys fills that with variable speed technology, highly efficient, a lot of built-in features such as economizers, significant control packages that allow the operator or end user to see exactly what's going on in their system all the time. And they're also, again, saving energy in the process.
So it's not just about cooling, it's also about sort of controlling how it's being done. Is that right?
100%. There's so many environments here in the U.S. and to Canada, and even in south of the border, where economizers come into play, where you're allowed to use the outside air in the evening time, or up in the mountains, or in any geographical area that allows that operator to get off the DX system. Our units have built-in economizers that come standard, and of course the operator has a lot of control over that. Whether it's an environment that's close to the seaside where they may not want an economizer operating at any time, the units are fully featured and that they can control the setup and the programming of that unit to dictate when economization is used. Add to that, we have some other proprietary features in our product, a patented air filter protection device, so that if a unit is running in an economizer mode, they're able to dictate whether it's advantageous to actually do that. I mean, it might be an issue with the air quality at that particular time.
With 5G and maybe even 6G, are the challenges sort of accelerating?
Oh, very much so. The ILAs themselves are going to get considerably more dense with heat load. And a lot of these buildings and shelters land in remote places. So, 5G is going to probably be advanced 5G in between 6G, and the operators that are out there are going to have to figure ways to cool that space more efficiently long term. And we're seeing an awful lot of companies come to us with ideas of new ILA huts that are going to be able to support some of the modular AI that's going on out there. And it's up to us to find those solutions that operate efficiently and effectively to meet their needs.
When I do these podcasts on AI, and then now we're increasingly talking about infrastructure, we rarely end up actually talking about cooling, frankly. We talk about the servers, we talk about data centers, we talk about this, that, and the other. Cooling is often not on the radar for a lot of people.
No, I think for years it was probably overlooked. Again, it was the least glamorous portion of what was going on in a shelter.
Right.
Typical air conditioner that turns on and turns off on the load that was in there. But as the load is getting heavier, and at the same time the energy usage of the equipment that's in there is getting heavier, it's up to the cooling aspect of it to find ways for it to be significantly more efficient than it has been in the past. And it's constantly evolving. The technology is changing both from a control standpoint to not just a DX system down the road, but liquid cooling is becoming much more effective. And I'm sure that sometime you will start to see that in these ILA huts that support the telecom industry.
Now, you've been referring to that throughout the podcast, I notice, about telecom shelters, cabinets, remote network sites, and so on. Are those actually where those challenges are happening?
They are right now. I think a lot of the legacy equipment that's out there is going to be outdated. Various telecom providers are going to have to figure out how they're going to support some of the new technologies that's out there. And a big piece of that now is, okay, how do we control the efficiency of our cooling systems in those spaces?
So as networks become more distributed, are operators looking for more infrastructure solutions that they weren't focused on maybe 5 or 10 years ago?
I think that's a fair statement from the standpoint, too, majorly from reliability. These shelters and spaces that are out there are often in very remote areas. There's an awful lot of pressure on the systems, if you will, that they last longer, that they can withstand the environments that they're in. I think gone are the days where the industry can just afford to replace a piece of equipment in 5 years just because it's aged out. So they're looking for more robust solutions that also have the ability to predict maintenance schedules. Things of that nature are certainly becoming important, and the AI structure, if you will, is going to be able to help a lot of the equipment manufacturers develop those technologies.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that historically people were not looking as much at durability, and you're saying now they should?
Absolutely. Not only is it the ability of the equipment to last longer, but that the predictive maintenance and things that need to happen before a system goes down and then has to create an escalation, if you will. They want the ability to determine their schedules a lot faster than they did in the past.
So, one of the promises of modern infrastructure is reducing energy consumption without sacrificing uptime. Can operators strike that balance?
I think so. I think, again, stepping back, looking at the efficiency of the equipment, the solutions that certainly we provide, there's a lot of planning now that goes into a typical shelter or hut or modular data center. So you're running the CFD analysis. The industry historically has always been, overcool it. But the new technologies that's out there that you can use both in the cooling side and also in the equipment side that physically goes in these shelters, the temperature can actually run a little bit hotter. This will allow equipment to last longer. Also, the equipment that's being built today, so certainly by Airsys, certainly more robust than it has been in years past. And this allows operators to find that balance between energy efficiency, longevity, and predictive maintenance that's going to help them in the long run.
So, you're forward facing the telecom operators. Do you see misconceptions that telecom operators have about cooling and energy management?
I think that it has been in years past, but they're certainly hypersensitive to it now because the older buildings and systems, it was very easy to do, very easy to just slap on a couple of 510 units and not worry about it. But now in today's technology, what you have to do, these are folks that have to squeeze as much cost out of those systems as possible. So they're looking at both pieces, not only the long-term reliability of the equipment, but also the efficiency of the equipment overall.
And that's a common thing, right? I mean, the carriers often have places that were built for something else, and they're just using it.
True. And then as the modular AI kind of rolls out, they're going to have sites that are probably a little bit larger than they have been in the past. Still remote areas that are challenged for equipment and maintenance crews get into, so that they have to put in systems that are going to be long lasting.
So, how are space constraints and remote developments changing the way operators think about infrastructure planning?
Space constraints, mostly because the power that's landing, or it's already there for the most part. So they have to pack in an awful lot into their shelters and structures. And of course, the cooling aspect of that has to be able to keep up with what's there. Typically with any structure or shelter, the demand or loads changes throughout the day. Add in the environmental factors that are there, altitude, things of that nature that have to be calculated in long term.
So as we wrap up our podcast today, and you're literally forward facing towards the telecom operators, what's your message to them? What are the trends that should be on their radar?
Remove the thought process from 10, 15 years ago that cooling was an afterthought. Let's talk, spend some time on what's the most efficient solutions. The equipment has the ability to be set up in countless configurations that are going to service your space and the geographical location that it is a lot better than just the old days of single stage equipment that bangs on and bangs off.
And as we during our podcast today, right now we've got a forklift behind you moving around. That's a real live factory behind us. That's actually
it is. It is, Doug. We're very proud of this. We moved into this facility about a month ago. It's been under construction for a year. We have roughly 300,000 square foot of production here in Woodruff, South Carolina. Our products are designed and built here, and they're to a lot of degree, clients call us and say, well, we like what you have that's just off the shelf, but can you do this? And we certainly make changes necessary to accommodate any of our clients as best as we can. And we not only build here in the U.S., we build in Europe and we build overseas as well. So there's a lot of redundancy that's built into our operations to support our clients that are global in nature.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, products do sometimes need to be replaced, parts and stuff. So how's that with you guys?
Very much so. We stock parts here, distribution. Our channel partners also stock parts because we're in the mission critical business. They don't tolerate equipment going down, just based on the space that we operate in. I'm also actually sitting in our training center. We spend an awful lot of time with contractors, training them on our equipment. It's a very hands-on training program between the classroom and a break fix with all of our working models on the other side of this wall, actually.
I may as well ask, what's the PCE stand for? You've got a product there behind you.
PCE is a part of our power compute effectiveness. We're looking at how efficient data centers are. I think it's always any plant and the power that it consumes. What's the effectiveness of the power it's consuming from a compute standpoint?
Stephen, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been really interesting. Where can people learn more, and how can they get in touch?
Certainly our website that's out there. Yep, there it is on your banner. Certainly can find out our products that are there. Certainly can call our sales help desk, and they'll pair you up with the right folks depending upon your project, the scope that it is, and where it's located at.
Well, I want to thank you again for joining me. I hope we get to do this again in a few months. This is an ongoing story. What we're reporting on 5G and AI and so on is impacting this, and it's good to hear more about the cooling part of infrastructure. Thank you very much indeed for joining me today.
Absolutely, Doug. Thank you for having me.
Innovate without limits, scale without compromise, and never pay per seat again. Discover why providers choose netsapiens.com.